So this is a video that we're making for England because we're giving a lecture on two subjects. And the first subject is the self I made versus the self God created.
Okay, yes. Well, as I understand it, the self I made is really a false self, and it's a substitute for God, so it's really an idol. It's called the ego, and it starts with the belief in separation. We've been taught in church and everything that we're separate from God. So when we have the belief in separation, then we're like sinners in our minds, because we know that's wrong. Then we get very guilty, and guilt demands punishment, so then we have a lot of fear that we're going to be punished. This causes pain in our body and everywhere, and so then we get angry, and it goes downhill after that even more. This creates misery and suffering and sickness and aging and eventually death. So death is a result of a thought called the ego, which is the false self. And I think all of that I just said is like a collection of all your negative thoughts that keep you from remembering you're one with God. And so I think we've been going around and around in that thought system for eons of time, and it doesn't work. It leads to misery and death, and yet people keep doing it. And they think there is no other way.
Well, and the whole thing is enhanced by our educational system. We're taught that we have to go to school and learn and become someone, you know, get a career, and it's all accumulating knowledge and making up this self. We're even taught that a good education makes you better than those who are not educated. Now, to a certain degree that's true, and it's not to put down education, but what is this self we made up? It's not just having a good education. We made up greed, we made up fear, we made up these conflicts in ourselves, where even if we do get the things that we think we want, we're still not satisfied and we're still not happy. This self we made up also contains the unhappiness. And then the Course in Miracles comes along and says, well, your real self is only happy. Your real self is only joyful and peaceful. So why do you have conflict?
Right. Well, the real self has to start then with knowing that there is no separation, and you can't be separate from God, because God is the life force and everything is life, so there is no separation. Therefore there is no sin, and therefore there is no guilt. And if there's no guilt, that means you're innocent. And then if you're innocent, you're going to be happy, like you're saying, and you're going to be joyful, and you're not going to be sick. You're going to be healthy and have longevity and more life. Well, that's our real self, according to the Course, and that happens to be the Holy Spirit's mind, which is within us. I think the false self is just like a cobweb that's covering over our real self. But we've been thinking this cobweb is real, and we've been spending all our time working around this cobweb of the false self, as I understand it. I guess the biggest idol of all is our ego, and we're addicted to our ego, so that's the problem of the world. And the Course says you are enlightened when you replace this ego's thought system with the Holy Spirit's thought system. So that's what we're going to talk about, and I think it's a very interesting topic.
Yes, which is interesting too, because it's leading into the theme for the second talk, which is what is the help that's going to allow us to be this real self. So you mentioned something very interesting, that the Holy Spirit's mind, which the Course talks a lot about, and the Holy Spirit is the help to correct our errors. undo our fear, undo our grievances, undo our judgments, which will take away what's not the real self, so that we can be more aware of the real self. So the help is the Holy Spirit, and we have to make contact with that help.
Right, and I think the main point that I learned is that you have to go outside the system of the ego to get the help. You can't try to figure it out or anything like that and try to work it out while you're in your ego. You need a higher power. You need some force that's beyond the ego, that's outside the system of the ego, to get yourself out of the ego. So I think the Holy Spirit is the solution, and you need to ask for help. But I don't know if people are doing it. That's what we need to talk about, is how you make contact with the Holy Spirit, how you ask for it. And I think the Course is saying that, you know, you have to turn everything over to the Holy Spirit. But you probably won't do it because it's too easy, because we're addicted to struggle.
Well, I think just from a practical standpoint, we're talking about the Course in Miracles, and that it's purely the voice of the Holy Spirit. It's the voice of Jesus who has made contact with this Holy Spirit, so that every word that he says in the Course is the help from the Holy Spirit. So we could start there by just giving attention to the lessons, to the text, to what's actually there. These are the words of the Holy Spirit that have been given to us for the help, to be our real self. So the more we give attention to that, we're making closer contact to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I think it's our job to inspire people to read the Course then, and you're good at that. And I think that's why people should come, because some people have a resistance to buying the Course, and then they get the Course and they have a resistance to reading it, and you have a good way of inspiring them to do it, and every time you speak about it I get inspired to read it more. And so I think we all need someone to lift us up, to want to get out of our unwillingness, to want to read the Course. And sometimes we need to be with people who have done it and can show us how to do it and how to keep at it. I know a lot of people quit. They start the Course and then they quit. And so maybe we can help you all out there to be inspired to read it and stay with it.
I think so.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
We're looking forward to coming to England.